Well, welcome back to More About Birth. I'm here with our host, Shannon Bennett, and her co-host, Angie Hansen, and we have a great topic for you today. Shannon.
Hey, welcome back to More About Birth. Today, we are talking about the fourth trimester. I feel like, we get so much education on first trimester, nausea, how baby's growing. Second trimester is known as that trimester that is the best. Less nausea, feeling good, energy's back, all that good stuff. Third trimester, we're talking about preparation for birth of the baby and all the good things that are going to happen. So there's a lot of excitement there. But everybody forgets the fourth trimester.
So for those of us that are ignorant, what is a trimester?
So pregnancy in general is divided up into 3 trimesters. So the first 3-ish months, the second 3-ish months, and the third
ish
3-ish months.
Ish month is because babies just kind of do
The fourth trimester
what they do.
is
That's a
the
Middle
fourth
Eastern word,
ish
ish
month. The fourth trimester is the fourth-ish month.
Okay.
So we're talking about that first 12-ish weeks. Ish, after the baby's born.
Yeah.
So it all starts with the birth. Talk to me about how your birth went, what's going on, what's happening that can affect that fourth trimester.
Yeah. Well, this is just another plug for prepare for your birth as much as you can. You can't control how it's going to go, but you can prepare. And, obviously, if you're separated from your baby after birth,
Right.
that's going to make a huge difference. If your baby was ill for whatever reason, and you just kind of missed that initial bonding period.
Or what about labor? What if you have like this really straightforward textbook labor as opposed to maybe it wasn't what you had planned? Maybe you had this vision.
Yeah.
Of a particular birth.
It could have been the place of birth. Maybe you're planning a home birth and you ended up in the hospital. Or maybe you're planning a hospital birth and had a baby in the car.
Or at home.
So if it was maybe way longer or way shorter than you were anticipating, maybe it was way more emotional and stressful.
Right.
Just being thrown off by that. That's a huge emotional impact, and it may be a huge physical impact too if it was difficult.
Well, what I'm hearing is expectation, right? So sometimes we set ourselves up for some of this because we just have that expectation that things are going to go a certain way and then they don't.
Right.
So as a midwife, and now you as a student, because you're doing a lot of this now, we do third trimester. We do a lot of education about what to expect after that baby's born, what it's going to be like, what you can do to prepare for it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we can do ahead of time to prepare for the fourth trimester and for some of the challenges we might meet. You mentioned nutrition, which is your biggie.
Yeah. Well, obviously that's really big. Nutrition, just the way you're going to grow your baby, the way your body's going to be able to cope with labor and postpartum. And,
bouncing back.
In the event that you have some kind of hemorrhage, good nutrition is only going to help you there because that recovery is going to be a little bit harder and slower. But the more oomph you can give your body ahead of time, the better shape you're going to be in. So there's definitely nutrition. I feel like just reading and preparing, taking in some materials and resources because you're going to get more ideas. You're going to get things that you need to think through for yourself.
One of the big things that I find a lot is I've pretty much said that I want you to have someone there after the birth. For the first 3 days, do not be alone. Have another adult there, or at least an older child that's a teenager and can drive, to take care of you so that all you have to do is focus on you and the baby.
I feel like that's such a minimum though, right? Like,
I would
bare minimum.
that a mom had a week, and every baby that you have, I feel like you need a few extra days to bounce back because you have more children to take care of, usually a bigger home to take care of because your family has grown.
Well, and if you read about other cultures, they do such a better job of
we're
this
the only
than
culture
we do. And they do it for like weeks and weeks or even a couple months. And so that's, when we're saying a week, having someone in your home just to care for you and care for, your kids in your house and you, that's so minimum.
I have a particular culture that I have done births for, and Mom pretty much is banned to her room for the first week. She's not even allowed to get out of bed except to get up to the restroom.
Yeah.
Food is brought to her. The baby is changed for her, or she does it there on the bed.
Yeah.
And then there are cultures where mom is taken care of by several other women. And she doesn't do anything household. She doesn't do anything with her other children other than just be with them for an entire month.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really messed up here in America.
We're kind of missing that community piece. So work on that and try to get a team around you ahead of time before postpartum, if at all possible.
Right. I even have a group of ladies that I deliver babies for that they have what they call, I think it's a cooking or a cooking in. And they all come with all these parts and pieces for meals, and they prep meals for each mom for postpartum. There's freezer meals, there's breakfast burritos, there's raw cookie balls for popping in the oven for fresh baked cookies.
That's cool.
They set her up for success. So what else can we do to set ourselves up for success in the fourth trimester?
Well, I personally think a huge one is bonding with your baby and thinking through how are you going to spend time with your baby in those first weeks.
That's good.
Because I think, especially as first-time parents, it's easy to focus on all your stuff, your baby stuff. I know
All the
because
cute
I
baby
did this
things,
myself. I am
right?
so guilty. But yeah, all your cute baby stuff and your gear and your stroller and your, setting up your nursery, and it's all super cute and it's fun, but it's so not practical, honestly. And most of that stuff you won't never even use, and a lot of it you won't use for a lot later on.
One of the midwives I worked with early on used to say, really, all you need's a mama, a T-shirt, a blanket, and a couple diapers.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think, we have this idea that we're going to bathe this baby and dress this baby and feed him and burp him and lay him down to sleep and maybe go, get on with our chores or take our shower or whatever. And kind of
real.
kind of like labor is more messy and sweaty and yucky than we think. So is having a baby on you and with you and, going through this whole transition. So what do we hear
the most? If we have a mom postpartum, what are some of the questions we get immediate postpartum or comments? I know one that I can think of right off the top of my head is I had no idea that feeding this child was going to be so labor intensive. All I do is sit here and feed this baby.
Yep.
While the toddler runs around getting into the cookies, flushing things down the toilet, and pulling the dog's tail.
Yeah.
So
right.
You can't expect a newborn baby that has been in your belly, under your heart for 9 months to just be fed and set down somewhere away from you. It's going to take 9 full months for that baby to wean away from you, and that's the normal, natural progression. But sometimes we go into it with an unrealistic, I can't talk today, an unrealistic expectation that we're going to have this baby, and after our 3 or 4 days of rest, we're going to be able to do meals again. We're going to be able to spend time with the toddler.
You're going to look great.
We're going to have time to put makeup on. We're going to host company who's from out of town to see the new baby.
Right.
And we set ourselves up for a big fat bomb.
For sure.
And then you feel awful about yourself.
So probably the fact that you're not prepared for that fourth trimester as a family may be part of the trauma too, because the husband and the other kids, if there's other kids, or maybe even family, doesn't understand this whole process, because I've not really heard this conversation before.
Well, and
I've had 4 kids,
I know.
and I've been through fourth trimester.
And we kind of come from a different generation than you do. Dads seem to be a little more involved in things now than they used to be. I see a lot of baby help and baby day-to-day stuff that dads are involved in. I try and warn dads before the baby comes. So it's going to take 2 full-grown adults to take care of 1 tiny human.
Yeah.
It's going to take you both 24 hours a day. So don't plan on getting anything else done. If you fed yourself, you fed and changed the baby, and you got a shower that day, that is an excellent day. That is an A+ day. If you get anything beyond that accomplished, good for you.
Yeah, and I don't know, for me, the thing that beats in my heart when we talk about this is we tend to be such a goal-oriented society
Yeah.
or like production. So like, what are we getting done? What are we accomplishing?
Right.
How much, are we advancing and so forth?
Performance-oriented.
But I think we should try to shift our mind to when this baby comes, those first few months are simply about getting to know your baby, bonding with your baby, spending every second that you can, skin to skin with this baby.
And they change so much in the first few weeks.
They
Maybe
do.
it was just
Ever get that back?
maybe it was just my generation, but it just seemed like, I felt like a part, especially the last couple children. But then, after the baby's born, I felt really helpless.
Because you can't nurse, and
Right.
usually only mom can make it better.
But what I hear is that if you could make that if you could understand that fourth trimester and do it together, then it's actually going to bond the family together better.
For sure.
Because if you were doing it together and I felt like I was a part of this and it was a team effort, then I think I would look back now and see it as a different experience. I really felt like I didn't have the means and where to help. And
You
I
didn't
think
have the
guys
tools.
do. Yeah, and I think guys do. We just need to talk more about that.
That'd be a great podcast for another time. Daddy tools.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. I find a lot of moms aren't prepared, and this is another way we can prepare the family, is to talk about what to do with that toddler that's flushing, apples
Your
down the
iPhone.
toilet or wanting to watch Baby Bum 999 times while you're nursing.
Right.
So I actually tell moms, get yourself a basket or a little box or bag or something and have special things in it that your toddler only gets to do when you're nursing. So that becomes a positive thing. Oh, baby's nursing. I get to put stickers on a tablet. Or baby's
Right.
nursing. I get to get the book out where I can tie things and put things in pockets and
Right.
whatever it is. But have a plan, because without a plan, you will fail.
Yeah. Right.
Anything else you can think of?
Well, I mean, we just barely glanced over this, but I hope that people will spend time researching what that idea is. We call it a fourth trimester for a reason, because you're still connected, emotionally, hormonally, physically,
Yes.
via feeding
You and
your
baby are still one unit.
Yeah, we call it mother baby. And wise people that have gone before us have, pointed out, like you said, that baby has been living underneath you, hearing your heartbeat, hearing your voice, snuggled up close to you for 9 months.
It's not natural for them to be separated from
No,
you.
they want to be with you, and that's a wonderful thing, and there's all these studies you can look at about what skin to skin time does for mama's hormones and baby's hormones and baby's health. It regulates their breathing and their heart rate and their temperature,
Yes. Builds their immune system.
and it really helps them sleep better. We have this idea that we need our quiet, dark, room, and we can't be touching anybody to get our sleep, but I think in some ways we need to shift that, because babies sleep really well on their parents.
And
So-
again, we're the only culture that
Yeah.
does that kind of thing.
Right.
Well, let's go to a break real quick, and when we get back, we'll talk about some more postpartum issues that tend to come up.
Sounds good.
Hope you enjoyed this first half. We'll be right back here with more about birth, the podcast, after the break. So stay tuned. Well, welcome back from the break. We are back with more about birth. We've been talking about the fourth trimester, and it's been very interesting. So what's next, gals?
Well, we want to talk about fourth trimester and some positive things that you can do to kind of make that transition a little smoother. We've kind of talked about some of the negative stuff. One thing I really appreciate about home birth midwives, I mean, I am one, but in general, I had a home birth midwife. And
Yeah.
one thing that was really awesome to me is that at every appointment, we talked about things like this. So I didn't feel unprepared, because we had nice long appointments where we could talk about how I was feeling about the
Right.
baby. And like I remember one of my births, we were living with my parents at the time. We were kind of in transition of jobs, and it was a different scenario for me. So I didn't kind of know what it was going to look like. And I was a little anxious about it because I was in someone else's home and it wouldn't be my normal postpartum routine.
Right.
And I was really thankful for the fact that my mom would be there 24/7. So that was comforting. But it can be different each time. So we talked about that, the midwife and I.
Yeah.
So you're more prepared emotionally, I think, and more educated about what it might look like.
More connected.
Right. And I kind of have an unwritten rule now that with my moms, and especially first-time moms, which it's actually really important for moms who have several children, too, because they've got more responsibility and more physical need of them afterwards. But you need to have someone there that you're comfortable with, that's birthed a baby and nursed a baby before, someone that you totally trust, that you're relaxed around, and someone that will let you mother the way that you choose to mother and not give unwanted advice.
Right.
So
that's a big one.
Yeah. So that's something I really, really request that my parents do now, is have someone lined up for that. And I think it's made a world of difference.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get these calls in the middle of the night saying, oh, the baby's gagging and acting all like something's wrong. Is she going to stop breathing?
Right. Yep.
No, mom's there, and she told her it's normal for babies to have a little bit of gagginess right after birth. Just turn her on her side a little bit. She'll be fine.
Right.
So it takes a lot away that postpartum anxiety. But on a practical note, there's a lot of things we can do, too.
Yeah, definitely. So we were talking about how important it is to have meals lined up ahead of time. So meal trains, gifting somebody a meal.
Why do babies always want to eat when it's time to either fix dinner or eat dinner?
It's true. It's like that dinner
do
hour.
They smell the food and it makes their
Maybe it's just me. What is a
digestive
food
juices
train? What's a food train?
A meal train?
A meal train, yeah.
I think most people know what they are nowadays, besides maybe Keith. But
Okay.
it's just an online, easy setup, easy use program that a friend or a family member can set up for a family or a mom.
Sign up to take a meal to somebody on a certain day.
Yeah, it's really user friendly. That's a great one.
It's
House
awesome.
help.
Yes.
Like if you don't know what to gift to a new family, hiring a house help or a postpartum doula or picking up a meal for them. Those are all really practical, super useful things.
And those are the things you need the most help with, are the just day-to-day practical things.
Yep. And we were talking about postpartum doulas and how amazing it is to be able to make use of their services. So they're like these special little angels of blessing that come, and they're trained to do this. And so, they're experienced. They can help with nursing, with mom and
laundry.
her physical needs. They help with laundry and cooking and cleaning, and
They can run
baby
to the
care
store for you.
Yeah, so those are awesome. I think they're slowly becoming
And if
more
you're
popular.
looking for someone in the Tri-Cities area that does that kind of thing, go to the website and message us, and we'll connect you with someone.
Yeah, that's really huge. So the postpartum doula.
How about visitors?
Yes,
That one is,
yes.
I get so many questions about visitors. Like, should I let people come right away, or should I make them wear masks? Should I not let anybody come for a couple days?
Right. I think this is a really excellent place to put some boundaries in place, especially when you're at home, because there's really no other barrier between
people
you
tend
and the
to think
outside.
that because you had a home birth, you're home, you're ready for visitors.
Right.
I mean, we're not even done with the birthing process and everything for several hours, because there's the birth and the placenta and the nursing and the newborn exam and
there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
So this is a really good place to make yourself put some boundaries in place, even thinking through them ahead of time. But we always tell people, blame it on the midwife. Just tell them, my midwife said these are my visiting hours and no more, because you do not want to set yourself up for failure by wearing yourself out.
And I tell people too, stay in your pajamas for the first week.
Yeah.
There's something mental about seeing someone in their pajamas that makes you realize that they're resting.
Yep.
If you get up and get dressed and put your makeup on and everything's looking normal, in their mind, everything's normal.
Yeah.
They walk in and see you in your PJs with a basket of laundry sitting on the couch. They're liable to fold your laundry for you and
right.
Switch loads from the washer to the dryer and ask you if you've had anything to eat for a while.
Right. And we tend to not to worry too much about, germs and, but it's common sense, right? Like have people wash their hands when they come in if they have been around ill people or
especially
they're
this
sick.
time of year.
Yeah. But we don't typically make people wear masks, but just common sense.
I mean, I've had people make a sign for the door, new baby in the house, please, wash your hands before you touch the baby, and please don't come in if you have a cough or fever or you've been sick recently.
Yep.
So, and that's within your rights.
It totally is. And again, if you're like kangaroo carrying your baby or you have your baby strapped on you in a wrap, baby's not going to get passed around. So that's a good card
Angie
to play.
always says it's the answer to everything.
It is.
Just wear your baby.
Put them on you.
Just wear your
So
baby.
typically people want to come over and see the baby right after the baby's born.
Yes.
Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing, really,
It's
for the mom and for the
awesome
baby?
thing for home birth. Like, for instance, if
I
you're...
was going to say no. Just say no.
Angie. No, so like the birth that we just did, her mom came when she was in labor, and she was awesome. You know, she just was there. She wasn't in the middle of anything that we were doing or the laboring mom was doing. She was totally just there, making sure mom was fed, that dad was fed, that the pets were taken care of.
But she was a part of the birth. That wasn't
a
crowd
part of the birth. So then, several hours later, after mom had had some rest and everything had leveled out, then the rest of the family came to visit.
Yeah.
And I went for a postpartum home visit, and they had family there. And we just stepped into the other room to work on breastfeeding because that's a biggie. I find that people do not have as great a success with breastfeeding if they have too many visitors.
For sure.
Because they feel rude going off into the other room to nurse, which is what they need to do, because there's almost no way to nurse a newborn all nice and tidy, covered up. And you need to just go where you can do what you do and not have to worry about modesty. So, visitors can get to be a bit much at sometimes, and other times they're a great help.
Yeah.
So think about it before the baby comes and blame it on me.
And even if you're a people person and you love your family, I still would even err on the side of less than you would think rather than more.
Well, and especially that birth high right afterwards, you're like, oh, come see the baby. And then when that birth high drops, you're dead and you're like, why did I invite all these people over here?
Right. Right. The right people can be awesome. Again, we love that community. We love people being available to help mom, but they need to be the helpful, calming, right kind of people. If you just have a crowd of people that's there just to see and handle the baby,
and
that cannot be not
bring
helpful.
A bunch of small children to someone's house when you visit after they've just had a baby.
Right.
That's a big no-no. So what else you got there?
Let's talk a little bit about just the normal hormonal shifts to expect and when they happen.
Well, we've been talking about the birth high. So after your baby's born, you have this great adrenaline high, and I think that's God's way of making us have the energy to nurse our baby and do the things that we need to do immediately after the birth. And so then over the next couple of days, the milk starts to come in, and what always happens about the time the milk's in full blast?
Yeah, Shannon always tells people. She told me with my two babies that we had together, and it's like when the day that the milk really, really comes in earnest, there is a massive hormonal shift, and you should just...
And the crazy mama comes out.
Oh, yeah. You should just pretty much expect to have a day of crazy and crying and...
no visitor.
Being irrational, not making sense. And it's so, we were just laughing about this because even though she told me this both times and I expected it and I kind of thought I was prepared, it just hits like a ton of bricks and you feel like somebody just took over your mind and your body and you
can get irritable.
Berserk.
You can cry over nothing. You can feel like, I don't know what I'm doing, or you can be angry. It's just a huge hormone shift, and it actually tends to be worse if you have like a lot of stuff like that go on before your cycle each month also.
Right.
So,
so be ready for that one.
And the other big hormone shift happens at around 2 or 3 weeks when your bleeding really slows down. So your hormones have shifted again, the bleeding's shutting down, and it doesn't seem to be quite as bad that time, but be prepared. Those are normal things.
So during the fourth trimester, is there like a light system that guys can have, husbands can have, like, you know?
I try and warn him. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's like doesn't our nation have these buttons that they can push? Yeah, code. I mean, what the nation has, they go to yellow code or whatever.
Yes.
Every guy
Code
needs.
red, code green.
Yes. Even if she looks like she's coping well, just you are in code red. Just
Shout out to all the husbands out there that listen to more about it.
And just know that no matter what she says or does during labor or the fourth trimester, you're okay. It's just her.
just let it all filter out.
No, that's not always true. I do find that nutrition is a biggie too. So we talked about lack of sleep. The other thing that you really, really, really want to do is make sure that not only that you're eating, but that you're eating often enough and eating good, healthy food, not garbage, because that will cause low blood sugar, which does not help your outlook, your energy level, your frame of mind.
Right.
And most people are probably expecting us to go into a little bit of baby blues with this segment, but I think we're going to save that for its own segment.
Yeah, because that's a big topic in and of itself.
The difference between baby blues versus postpartum depression.
So being around you talk nutrition all the time through the whole baby up till birth. I haven't heard you say much, at least in our conversations, about the nutrition after. It seemed like mom would just kind of let down and not think about what she's eating. So that's probably a crucial
but you know, naturally our bodies have this huge hunger, like Angie was talking about, this breastfeeding hunger rage.
Is it like chocolate hunger that you guys have all the time?
Yeah. And here it is. Never a podcast without it. So, your body naturally has this huge hunger because you need more calories nursing than you did pregnant. And I actually had a good friend years ago. I saw her like 3 weeks after her birth, and I was like, are you eating? I mean, seriously, she was skin and bones. She says, I don't have time. And when I do have time, I don't have the energy to fix anything. And I said, I don't usually suggest this. I said, but you go to the store and buy some frozen meals. Try and get the healthiest ones you can to get some calories in you.
Right.
Drink protein drinks. And get some calories in you. And she felt so much better. Within 2 weeks, she had put on 5 or 6 pounds and looked so much better. Right.
Yeah. And, you know, that weight gain during pregnancy and sometimes that slow weight loss that happens after a baby, that's
it's a
normal.
Protection system.
And it's perfect. It's supposed to be that way. And so don't think that, because I'm hungry and I'm eating a ton, I'm not going to lose weight. No. You know, when you're eating healthy foods and making, mostly good whole food choices, like that weight's going to come off in its own way in time.
9 months to pile it on. It's going to take 9 months to naturally melt off.
Yep.
So we're going to wrap this up, and we'll come back and talk to you about postpartum depression at another time.
Oh, this has been really interesting. That's another episode of More About Birth, about the fourth trimester. And it sounds like we're going to talk more about that. So thanks for joining us. If you'd like to learn more about this podcast or others, you can go to naturalcaremidwifery.com as well as our YouTube channel, More About Birth. Thanks again for joining us. We hope that you'll subscribe and tune in next time.
See you later.